Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of five, that's why I'm a dive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the C&Z up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get.
All right, Thrivers, we are talking today about 17 steps for effective contract negotiation. We've had a lot of Thrivers who want to know, how do we negotiate contracts? And specifically, we have a mailbag question. So Marshall, I'm going to throw it to you.
Awesome. So this Thriver writes, I work at a school and I'm constantly working with other vendors. How do I negotiate with these people? On a broader note, what are the overall rules for negotiating? And we got this coming from Kimberly. She's a Thriver. She's a teacher from Staten Island, New York.
Boom. I've been to Staten Island before. I have been there.
Pretty magical.
Yeah, what I did is I wanted to save the ferry ride costs associated with going to see the Statue of Liberty. So I took a ferry out to Staten Island. I've done this numerous times. That's kind of my move. So I ain't mad at you, Statue of Liberty. I'm just trying to save some money. But anyway, so we're talking here specifically about these steps for effective negotiation. And I want to make sure that all the Thrivers, you keep this in mind. There's just two mindsets you want to keep in mind, two notable quotables here. The first one is from the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. And he said, let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. If you're watching this, I mean, the reality is that negotiating sometimes, whether you're negotiating to buy a Suburban for your wife, which I did a few years ago, or you're negotiating to buy a Hummer, which I did as well, or you're buying and you're negotiating to buy a house or buy a business, sometimes it's negotiation. We kind of fear it. We don't want to get into it. But John F. Kennedy says, let us never negotiate out of fear. The point is, when you're negotiating, let's have some confidence here. And we hopefully today, at the end of these 17 steps, you'll have the confidence needed to negotiate without having any fear. And the second quote I want you to keep in mind is from our main man, Donald Trump, who he might end up being president. We don't know. So here we go. But I'm going to read this quote to you. He says, sometimes your best investments are the ones you don't make. Well, how does that relate to this? Well, what we're saying is when you negotiate, you've got to be prepared to walk away. You've got to be prepared to kind of go, I don't know if that's the right deal for my family, for my business. I don't know. So let's make sure we have those two mindsets, those two notable quotables in our mind as we hop into today's training. So Marshall, let's go ahead and hit them up with step one.
All right, so step one of the 17 steps for effective contract negotiations. Step one, commit to a mindset of exhaustive preparation.
Well, first off, we tried to get to 18 steps, and we couldn't do it. We had a budget cut, so we got to 17. So no, but here's the deal. The reason why we're talking about this is there's some things you have to do pre-negotiation, before you're actually in the room with the people negotiating. There's some things you have to do first. And this first one is that you have to commit to that mindset of exhaustive preparation. So exhaustive, what am I talking about? I'm talking about you want it to really dive in to the studying and the preparation at a level that doesn't make sense. You want to just absolutely, I'll give you an example. Years ago, I was working with Maurice Canbar, and that's the guy who owned Sky Vodka. He actually founded Sky Vodka. And before that guy came to town, I knew that he had sold the business for around $600 million, and I knew that he had bought roughly about 1/3 of downtown Tulsa. But that's what everyone else knew. But I wanted to just read his life story. I wanted to read his autobiography. I wanted to read articles about him. I wanted to know everything about this man because when it came time to negotiate with him, I wanted to be prepared. And so I'm going to give you this notable quotable here. He says, Oprah, this is from Oprah. Maybe you've heard of Oprah from such shows as Oprah. She says, I feel that luck is preparation meeting opportunity. So what she's saying is that even though I had a rare, once-in-a-lifetime unicorn opportunity to meet with Maurice Canbar, the founder of Sky Vodka, if I hadn't taken the time needed to prepare, there is no way that I would be able to have luck. So it's the preparation meeting that opportunity. And I want to make sure I encourage you, Thrivers, if you're watching today and you go, I just don't have any negotiation talent, don't worry about talent. It really comes down to skill. And skill is something that you can develop. I took algebra 3 times. I took my ACT 3 times. basically any class you could take 3 times or anything you could do 3 times, that's what I did. And I can tell you that if I can do it, you can absolutely do this. This is a skill that you can learn. And the final notable quote I want to give you guys, and as you're watching this, it's super duper crazy, unbelievable, end times important that you take some notes here, okay? Because Albert Einstein, my main man Albert Einstein, he says this: paper is to write things down that we need to remember. Remember, paper, he says paper is to write things down that we need to remember. Our brains are used to think. So what you got to do is, as you're watching this training, take notes there. Take notes. You can take notes right there on the Thrive 15 platform, or you can take it on a notepad, but you want to take those notes so that you can apply it the next time you're negotiating. All right, Thrivers, we are talking today about 17 steps for effective contract negotiation. We've had a lot of Thrivers who want to know, how do we negotiate contracts? And specifically, we have a mailbag question. So, Marshall, I'm going to throw it to you.
Awesome. So this Thriver writes, I work at a school and I'm constantly working with other vendors. How do I negotiate with these people? On a broader note, what are the overall rules for negotiating? And we got this coming from Kimberly. She's a Thriver. She's a teacher from Staten Island, New York.
Boom. I've been to Staten Island before. I have been there.
Pretty magical.
Yeah, what I did is I wanted to save the ferry ride costs associated with going to see the Statue of Liberty. So I took a ferry out to Staten Island. I've done this numerous times. That's kind of my move.
Okay.
So I ain't mad at you, Statue of Liberty. I'm just trying to save some money. But anyway, so we're talking here specifically about these steps for effective negotiation. And I want to make sure that all the Thrivers, you keep this in mind. There's just two mindsets you want to keep in mind, 2 notable quotables here. The first one is from the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. And he said, let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. If you're watching this, I mean, the reality is that negotiating sometimes, whether you're negotiating to buy a Suburban for your wife, which I did a few years ago, or you're negotiating to buy a Hummer, which I did as well, or you're buying and you're negotiating to buy a house or to buy a business, sometimes it's negotiation. We kind of fear it. We don't want to get into it. But John F. Kennedy says, let us never negotiate out of fear. The point is, when you're negotiating, let's have some confidence here. And we hopefully today, at the end of these 17 steps, you'll have the confidence needed to negotiate without having any fear. And the second quote I want you to keep in mind is from our main man Donald Trump, who might end up being president. We don't know. So here we go. But I'm going to read this quote to you. He says, sometimes your best investments are the ones you don't make. Well, how does that relate to this? Well, what we're saying is, when you negotiate, you've got to be prepared to walk away. You've got to be prepared to kind of go, I don't know if that's the right deal for my family, for my business. I don't know. So let's make sure we have those 2 mindsets, those 2 notable quotables in our mind as we hop into today's training. So, Marshall, let's go ahead and hit them up with step 1.
All right, so step 1 of the 17 steps for effective contract negotiations. Step 1, commit to a mindset of exhaustive preparation.
Well, first off, we tried to get to 18 steps, and we couldn't do it. We had a budget cut, so we got to 17. So but here's the deal. The reason why we're talking about this is there's some things you have to do pre-negotiation, before you're actually in the room with the people negotiating. There's some things you have to do first. And this first one is that you have to commit to that mindset of exhaustive preparation. So exhaustive, what am I talking about? I'm talking about you want it to really dive in to the studying and the preparation at a level that doesn't make sense. You want to just absolutely, I'll give you an example. Years ago, I was working with Maurice Canbar, and that's the guy who owned Sky Vodka. He actually founded Sky Vodka. And before that guy came to town, I knew that he had sold the business for around $600 million, and I knew that he had bought roughly about 1/3 of downtown Tulsa. But that's what everyone else knew. But I wanted to just read his life story. I wanted to read his autobiography. I wanted to read articles about him. I wanted to know everything about this man, because when it came time to negotiate with him, I wanted to be prepared. And so I'm going to give you this notable quotable here. He says, Oprah, this is from Oprah. Maybe you've heard of Oprah from such shows as Oprah. She says, I feel that luck is preparation meeting opportunity. So what she's saying is that even though I had a rare, once-in-a-lifetime unicorn opportunity to meet with Maurice Canbar, the founder of Sky Vodka, if I hadn't taken the time needed to prepare, there is no way that I would be able to have luck. So it's the preparation meeting that opportunity. And I want to make sure I encourage you, Thrivers, if you're watching today and you go, I just don't have any negotiation talent, don't worry about talent. It really comes down to skill. And skill is something that you can develop. I took algebra 3 times. I took my ACT 3 times. I basically any class you could take 3 times or anything you could do 3 times, that's what I did. And I can tell you that if I can do it, you can absolutely do this. This is a skill that you can learn. And the final notable quote I want to give you guys, and as you're watching this, it's super duper crazy, unbelievable, end times important that you take some notes here, okay? Because Albert Einstein, my main man Albert Einstein, he says this: paper is to write things down that we need to remember. Remember, paper, he says paper is to write things down that we need to remember. Our brains are used to think. So what you got to do is, as you're watching this training, take notes there. Take notes. You can take notes right there on the Thrive 15 platform, or you can take it on a notepad, but you want to take those notes so that you can apply it the next time you're negotiating.
So we're talking about effective contract negotiation. We're on step number 10, Clay.
Yep.
So step number 10, don't be afraid to let the other guys walk away. Walk me through what this step means.
Well, if you've gone through all the due diligence needed, as we talked about, you've really done your research, and I'll give you an example. I knew when I was buying that Suburban that the maximum price I wanted to pay, and I think it was like $13,000, buying this car for my wife. Very good condition, it had about 70,000 miles on it. I knew that I looked at the Kelley Blue Book, which is basically a website where you can determine what the value of the car should be. I looked at comparables. I knew what the car should be selling for. I knew what the competitors were selling it for, and I knew that I was going to, at the end of the day, if it's not $13,000, if it's anything more than $13,000, I'm walking away. I'm prepared. Now, I'm not going to walk away. I'm prepared for the other guy to walk away. And psychologically, it'll make sense later. But I basically said, we negotiate back and forth, and then the guy says, yeah, we'll throw in the DVD player and the this. And I said, absolutely. And for $13,000, we have a deal. And the guy does the whole, well, that's, I could do it today, but I have to go talk to my manager, maybe $13,500. And I know, and he knows that I know that he's the boss. I know that he owns the place. But the point is, they do that move. With the guy who owns the business, like his name's on the sign, it's like Smith's Ford. It's like Johnny's Chevy dealership. And you're like, are you Johnny? No. It's like, it's him. But the point is, he's like, well, I'd have to talk to my partners. I don't know if I can do the deal. But I knew confidently what the numbers were. So I said it, and I said, hey, no stress. I'm going to hop in the car, moving on. My wife's having a baby soon. I'm really not going to freak out. I'll just wait till after the baby. And he's like, well, I guess I'd have to let you go then. And I'm like, okay. So get in my car, ba-doop. And then when I get in the car, guess who comes chasing after? Hey, the DVD player, the LCD thing, $13,000, we have ourselves a deal. Boom, done. But the point is, you have to be prepared to let the other guy walk away.
So you got to know your numbers. That first and foremost, you got to know your numbers. And then when you start the negotiations, from one of our previous points here, you start it, so you're starting from a position of power. So It's not you walking away, it's them walking away.
And the deep thought to have here is Richard Branson. Some of you might want to say Richard Bronson. Some of you might want to say Richard Branson. He's a good guy. Now, the point is, but Richard, he's the guy who started the Virgin companies. Mm-hmm. He says this, he says, business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. What's he talking about? What he's talking about is if you know your numbers and you know where you're at, don't freak out. I see so many entrepreneurs, so many business people who are like, this is the deal of a lifetime. We've got to get this deal. We got to get this guy. We got to get And I usually don't believe that. I believe there's thousands of deals, and if you're in the game a lot, you're going to see thousands of deals, and you've got to kind of have that Tim Duncan philosophy towards the business deals.
The big fundamental.
Tim Duncan's been playing for the Spurs for 706 seasons. And basically just getting that 18 points a game, the 9 rebounds he started when Alexander the Great was just wrapping up his tour of take of conquest. Tim Duncan was just it was a rookie that year. Mm-hmm. But the point is, Timmy Duncan, that guy just uses the glass and he gets you 18 points. What am I talking about? Tim though knows during the game, look, we got to play an 82 game season. We have to play 82 games, and I've got to make sure that I'm staying in shape. So Tim Duncan hustles, but you'll notice he paces himself, and it frustrates some fans because they're like, why does he not want to play on certain road games? And why does Coach Popovich, the coach of the Spurs, let him sit all the time and rest? And because they want to be good in the playoffs. They've been basically a dominant team for 15 years, 20 years? I mean, that's crazy. So even though I'm a David Robinson apologist, and even though I'm wearing my USA David Robinson.
What do we have today? We got USA.
USA, David Robinson jersey. This is Dream Team. This is Dream Team jersey. Even though I'm wearing that, that's not why I'm talking about the Spurs. It's just because it's a good example.
Moving into step 11 here. Okay. And this is probably my favorite move that we have going on here. It's my favorite step. I feel like we're almost going to get spiritual here. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we had a lot of thrivers, just a little context, who are asking like, hey, I'm in negotiation and someone did this, someone did that, someone did this to me, and you're like, I can't believe that someone would do this, they would do that. Thousands of people all over the planet, and I know you're all feeling like you're getting taken advantage of. So we summarized all of these questions and all of the combined experience of a lot of the mentors into the dirty moves, and I'll turn it back to you.
So understanding the dirty moves that other people might be doing to you, maybe you'll secretly maybe kind of make this kind of your move.
No.
Okay, so we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the unapproved dirty moves that we have going on. Okay, so the first dirty move is the dirty betting you will not read the changes move. What
Okay. Well, first off, let me tell you this. I mean this, thrivers. I mean this sincerely. Just for a second, I'm going to dial in here. I am obviously of the Judeo-Christian faith. It doesn't matter to me what your faith is, but work with me. Let's pretend that you believe in an omniscient, omnipresent, that's everywhere, all-knowing God, deity of some kind. And if you don't, let's just pretend that you believe that we're in a black helicopter, Big Brother security state where there's now cameras at every stoplight. The point is, you have to when you're negotiating, only do things that you'd be proud to show your mom. And if your mom is a leader of a drug ring, then only do things you'd be proud to show God, or proud to show the surveillance community, or whatever. The point is, let's be ethical about this. I'm telling you moves that other people do that are not ethical, so you don't want to do these, but you need to be aware of them because they're going to happen every time.
And you got to recognize it.
Every time one of these moves will come through. It's dirty. So this first one here is the dirty betting you will not read the changes move. This move is my least favorite move. It makes me crazy. You have a contract you're working on, and the contract, it's like 32 pages. And you talk on the phone, and you go, yep, we approve it, great, awesome. They will email you a document, and they will change, this is a 32-page document. We're talking about thousands and thousands of words. And they'll change this and that and this, just little small changes. And then they'll send it to you. And then you'll print it off and you'll sign it without reading it. And you will get screwed. Like Bob Vila back in the day with the new screw gun, the new Stanley, where that's what's going to happen to you over and over if you don't read the entirety of the document. This is how incredible bills get passed in Congress, in the Senate. If you get a chance, just look up the history of like the stimulus packages or the Affordable Care Act, and look at how many politicians said, well, I didn't read it. I mean, it was like 1,200 pages. I didn't get a chance to read it all. That's going to happen. Don't mock those guys. I'm telling you, you get a contract, you've got to read that thing front to back every time or you're going to get shellacked. Bam.
Don't let this happen to you.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Okay. Second dirty move that people are going to try and pull over on you. The dirty third-party ambiguous Darth Vader move. What are we talking about here?
What happens is they're going to say that they have somebody who is this all-knowing, omnipresent, almost godlike person who you know doesn't exist, and at the last minute he's going to show up. So they're going to go, yeah, I like the deal. You know, Greg and I, we like the deal. Greg and I, we like the deal. We like the deal. We want to do this deal. We are happy. We're wanting to do this deal. The two of us, we're agreed. Now the problem is that his uncle, Barney. I mean, he's not happy about the way these deals the way this deal's going on right now. And we've done some research, and we're not quite sure, but we're pretty sure that Barney's actually, he's actually killed a man. And so you don't want to, I'm not saying that, you have to take our concession, but we agree on the deal, but Barney or Darth Vader or this third party, he's not going to accept it. And I got to be honest with you, he's pretty upset. And they do that whole deal where now we're bringing in the emotions of a character they've created, Darth Vader, who's going to be looming And now they'll use that move. Like now they're not the decision makers. The entire negotiation, they were the decision makers, but now they're talking to this third-party ambiguous life form known as Darth Vader.
So you got to recognize that. You got to recognize this third fake person.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time. Okay. What about the dirty flattery, build you up, and then punch you in the crotch move?
Now that's a deal. That's a bad deal because what happens is they start to say, this actually happened. There's a guy, he takes me out to dinner. He takes me to this nice restaurant. There's a nice restaurant in Tulsa called the Polo Grill. He takes me out to dinner. He's building this platform. And this platform is getting bigger and bigger, this platform. He's going, oh my gosh, let me take you to the Polo Grill. Our dinner bill was like $500. He takes me to the Polo Grill, filet mignon. Just this platform is getting massive. He builds me up right here. And he's like, hey, Clay, I want you to know we're excited about your company. We love you guys. We're excited to work with you. This seems like the great deal. I've done my research. We are excited to work with you. This is going to be an awesome opportunity for your company. And then I'm going, awesome, this is great. And then what he did is when you get up here, once you get somebody up at that height, when you get somebody right in that height there, right up at that, that height where they get the platform up just high enough, you can just punch him in the crotch. And then he comes back and goes, after like we've gone on this whole we're almost like dinner dating deal. Then he's like, now that your price is entirely too rich and we're going to have to do such and such. And by the way, we're not going to do such and such and we're not going to do such and such. And all of a sudden you went from to boom. And a lot of times they do that because they want you to feel guilty that they've built you up. And this literally happened. So I tell the guy, hey guy, I thought we were going to do this and now you're going to do this. And he's like, hey, I've invested a lot of time and money here. Dude, we're having a bromance. You've taken me out to the Polo Grill that I didn't want to go to. You bought me a ton of food and now you're punching me. That happens all the time. So beware of flattery. That's where people are talking about you in a way that's not sincere. They're just praising you and making you feel good. And they're like, you're the best. Your company's the best. This deal's so good. And then, bam, punch you. Not good.
Next thing, we're talking about step 11 here, understanding the dirty moves. The dirty do this, do that, do this, do that, and then kind of get pushed into a corner. You've used all your resources. You have no other options.
This is a quick description, but you need to know this. This is what happens is that some big companies know that you're a small company. What? So yeah, a big company knows you're a small company. So what they'll do is they'll say, it's almost like a treasure hunt, or what's the deal where you go and you have to find various items?
Scavenger hunt.
A scavenger hunt. This is what it is. And they say, all you need to do, here's the map, here's the big map. And all you'll need to do is you'll need to, this is a big treasure map or something. And they'll say, all you need to do is you need to go over here, you need to find this, find that, do this, fill out that form, do this, do that, do this. But they don't do it all at one time. They just say, all you need to do is do this and this, and we should have a deal. And you're like, okay. And they go, and then you just need to meet with this guy and do, okay. Now you need to get this notarized, okay. Now you'll need to have your audit done, okay. Now you're going to need to have your property assessed, okay. Now you're going to need to turn in that, okay. Now you need to do this, and now you need to pay for an inspection. Now you need to do, boom, boom. And you keep doing it, and then eventually you're starting to run out of what? Money and time. And then they're like, well, we can do the deal, but it'd have to be a lot less. And what they've done is they've drained your time and they've drained your resources and they've just sucked the life out of your company financially and all your time. And this is an actual move. This is a move. People do this all the time. I literally was asked to do consulting for a guy who I backed out of the deal because I just couldn't be around the guy. But he literally explained to me how he uses this move consistently and how it's awesome because you'll drain the emotions, the time, the money out of a small business owner, and they'll almost always do it because they always have so much money. At this point, they already have so much money invested. They've already spent 3 months and $100,000 developing something. And then they go, well, if you can't do it, we're done. And you've already spent all that money, and the other party knows it, and so they take advantage of that. So be aware of that move. If someone starts asking you to do a lot of moves, you want to ask them, so if I do this and this, what else do I have to do? And this particular situation happened to us with Thrive, about 2 years ago. A guy says, if you'll do X, Y, and Z, we'll do this. And so I did X. Then I come back. He says, well, if you'll do Y, do Y, do Z, do Z. He says, now if you can do 1, 2, and 3, A, B, and C, then I could do it. And I said, hey, homie, if I do X, Y, Z, which I did, and I do 1, 2, 3, and A, B, C, do we have a deal? Well, I'd have to talk to a third party, Darth Vader. And then you might have to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I had to say, you know what? It's not a deal. Boom. Back to you.
Okay, so the next dirty move that when you're in contract negotiations that they'll try and pull over you is the personally insulted guilt trip move. What is that?
Now, part of business is you have to act a little bit. You got to be an actor. So I'll give you an example. I woke up this morning. I know that I do believe in a God that's omnipresent and omniscient. I think I might have beat him as far as waking up this morning. Okay. I feel like I woke up like right before him, and God's like, "What are you doing down there? We're trying to sleep here, But I got up, and I got up this morning really early, And when I get up this morning, I feel as though I've done my best. I've got up early. I'm getting my stuff together, and I know that I've done my very best today. Okay, I've done my very best today, but I'm tired. I'm physically tired. So I have to act right now as though I'm not tired, let's say. So we're here on camera, and you guys don't want to watch a tired man. So I have to get myself, and I am sincerely motivated to be here, but I have to kind of coach myself into being excited because I woke up today. I have 5 kids. They were up late. I had to get up early. The point is I had to get myself to coach myself into a positive mindset. You do too. But what happens is that when you're on the phone and you're negotiating, the other party sometimes will act as though they're super offended in the way that you have to act super enthusiastic sometimes, or the way that we have to act as a parent. Sometimes you have to act like you're not super frustrated that your kid just will not clean his room, right? You have to act calm about it. So what will happen is the other party will say stuff like, they'll say, well, Marshall, I am terribly offended by the lack of professionalism in this email. It's just the spelling errors, the grammatical sabbatical that occurred on this is just, it's unprofessional. And this just speaks volumes and just blah. And they're acting as a way to get you to say, oh, I'm sorry. And now they're changing it. They're changing their perspective, and now you're almost begging for the deal.
And so if we're following all these steps and we're leaving the emotion out of it, that's the best way to circumvent that move.
Yeah, just know this is actually a move. People are actually acting, and they're trying to act. I'm just personally offended. I can't believe you would offer so low.
Now, has this next move ever happened to you? The dirty, oh, I didn't know move. Yeah,
that move occurs a lot on those contract changes where we talk and then the person changes the deal. After we already agreed, they just make the change on page 32. This is usually the kind of the move that ties in with that, where they go, oh, I didn't know it was changed. My assistant, who, and they never have a name, by the way. My assistant who's in Singapore, my assistant who's in Iowa, they made the change. Oh, well, who are they? I'll call them. Oh, well, I don't really know. The guys at corporate have a lot going on. It could be anyone. But what they're doing is, I didn't know. Well, this is a lot of times, too. In real estate, this deal happens all the time. This just happened. I was about ready to buy we just bought this chicken palace. I'm calling it a chicken palace. It's Camp Clark and Chicken Palace, where we have 5 kids, 9 businesses, and 40 some odd chickens. But a Cooper de Cabra or an angry WCW wrestler or a linebacker recently got in and ate most of the chickens. So we're building it back up. We're building back up the team. But the point is, we were about ready to buy this property on a lake. It was beautiful. And the deal looked great. I felt great. They felt great about me feeling great. My wife felt great. When my wife feels great, I feel great. It was good. So we go in and we're about ready to buy this thing. And last minute, the person says, I do the inspection. And I'm like, is there any issues on the house foundationally that I need to be aware of? Any foundation issues? Major electrical? Any mold? No. None at all. No. So we peel back the carpet, we pay to have the inspections, we do the research. It is very apparent that they have done work to cover up the mold. They've actually done work to cover up the mold, where you would if you had mold and you were trying to cover it up like you were like a movie set producer, this is what you would do. And then the foundation had so many piers in it, it was like the Navy pier. It was like, we're peering into stuff. It was a lot of piers. A lot of piers. And the point is, we tell the person, so you're the only owner of this house, right? Yeah. Are you aware there's 30 piers? A pier is where they insert a big tube of concrete into the foundation to keep the foundation from settling. And they said, not that I'm aware, I didn't know. Like, well, who would have done it? I mean, you would have had to like emptied out your house, and you know, you could not have lived here for that time. I mean, it might have happened. I was on vacation. My husband might have done the work. Your husband typically remodels your entire house while you're gone. Well, I guess I didn't know. I mean, what are we talking about? I mean, that's just a move. That's just a move.
The dirty, just one quick change last minute.
Yeah, that's a dirty move. That, if you talk about moves, every one of these moves in my mind is the dirtiest move because they're each the move that I thought of. It's the last move we discussed, and each one I have an example in my life where I've seen this happen. But that one really frustrates me. And for our wedding, that happened. My wife and I were getting married. You know, we're having a good time. We're going, I'm going to be getting married. You know, I'm a man, bear, pig. I've convinced a lady who's a former model to marry me. I'm going, how is this possible? She's smart. Don't get me wrong, she's smarter than she is beautiful, but she's 8 times more beautiful than me, which I know I'm a 0, so if you add 8 times 0, it doesn't make sense. But the point is, she's a gorgeous lady, and she's smart, she's a genius. And I'm working at Target, man. I'm working at Target. Not super Target, by the way. I'm working at Target like, you know, Target, pre-super Target. Applebee's, West Telecommunications. I'm working in a call center selling gas rebates, which just so you know, they're not actually real. Don't ever do that deal. But the thing is, I'm working, doing all these things, and I agree to buy the punch, and the punch is like $30 a bowl, $35 a bowl for the punch or something. There's some amount for a bowl of punch. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Well, then when we get to the event, they're like, oh, and now I am married, straight up. I signed the certificate. I just got married. And they're like, hey, it's 32. And then you look at it, and I said, how much are they again? Because I'm paying myself. I'm paying for it myself. And the guy's like, oh, well, they're 48. I'm like, 48? How are they 48? Whatever the number was. He's like, oh, well, it's 16 to set it up. It's for this. There's a catering fee. There's a tax. There's a, staff. There's the actual containers we're serving it in. So it's 48. I'm like, well, in what circumstance would I have ever bought punch and not want it to be served? I'm sorry, but do you want the punch? I mean, because if you want the punch, your guests are out of punch. And I'm like, that last minute deal. And I'm like, frick. Got to sign the punch. Anyway, long story short, it took me about 6 months of post-marital working to pay off that punch.
Punch.
Which is why I punch myself in the morning each morning, thinking about that moment.
A lot of punch.
Yeah, a lot of punch.
Moving on to the next dirty move that thrivers, all around the world might see when they're doing these contract negotiations. The non-intimidation move.
Yeah, the non-intimidation move. What the non-intimidation move is about is it's trying to seem really innocent. Like we're just really, I'm the nicest person in the world. I'm like a baby little lamb. And I'm just so nice, and I'm like a baby duck. Have you ever had a baby duck, the Koopa Cabra, or the WCW wrestler, or the whatever the heck it's in my backyard that's eating all my animals right now? I just ate my baby duck. But the baby duck, they're so cute. And the baby duck, it's kind of a sad thought. The baby duck, it's a cute thing. You see this lamb, and you're just like, what was that movie? Was it Gremlins, where it was like a cute thing that became a gross thing? Yeah. Is that what it was? Yeah, it'd be like if an Ewok from Star Wars was secretly a serial killer. That's what this move is. It's all about like, hey, how you doing? We're okay, let's work together. I'm so excited to do this deal. And then the entire time, they're just screwing you with a smile. They're just like, hey, and I'll give you an example of that deal. Recently, it was about 7 years ago, I was working with a guy on a deal, and he says, if you'll market my business, I'll pay you this much a month for the consulting fee, a flat fee, plus I'll pay a percentage of the revenue. And every time my check comes due, he's like, oh, hey, here's your check. And I look and I'm like, hey, the check's short by about $400. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. I'll go ahead and get that taken care of. I get forgetful sometimes. And then he's off by $300 the next week and the next month, and then pretty soon he just stops paying altogether. And I'm like, homie, you need to pay me each month. And he says, oh, I'm sorry about that. I must have forgot. And it's just this constant like screwing you with the smile deal. So be careful when you're working with a guy that just seems super unintimidating, and when you're negotiating on a big deal, be a little bit, conspiracy theory-esque about this. Just be a little bit fearful of Captain Nice.
Okay, and so The other dirty move that a lot of thrivers will probably experience at some point in conjunction with that move, the non-intimidation move, and then this move, the make you feel like a loss is a win move. A loss is a win for you.
Yeah. What they'll do is they'll basically you've decided on paper because you did your research. You've decided that this is what you need to make the deal a win. You need A, B, and C. You need point A, B, and C. If you're negotiating right now on something, think about it. What are the things you want? Your A, B, and C. Ask yourself right now, what are the A, B, and C that you want? And what will happen is this person over here is going to offer such craziness that they say, yeah, I don't want to give you C, I don't want to give you B, and I don't want to give you A. And they basically don't disagree with you on every single term. But then they come in and they say, but you know what I will do? I'll give you D. And you didn't even want D. But they go, I'll give you D. Example. About, a decade ago, I just got totally taken advantage of. This guy doesn't pay, doesn't do what he's supposed to do, doesn't honor our agreement. I bought a business from the guy, and he's just totally hosing me, just totally not honoring his agreement. And then he comes in and is like, but what I can do is I can get you tickets to all of these events. I don't want tickets to events, man. I've got 5 kids. I want like real money. I want you to honor what you said you would do. But I've got tickets to all these events, and you can come out and see me, and I can get you this, and I can get you that. And it's like he's like all about taking you to dinner. Hey, Clay and Vanessa, that's my wife. Hey, Clay and Vanessa, we want to take you out for steak tonight. And this is a guy that owes me like 10 grand. Well, I'll take you out for steak tonight. We're sitting there at dinner. I remember he looked at me in the face, and he was like, man, I tell you what, I love this time. Don't worry, I'll make sure I take care of the bill tonight. Don't you worry about it at all. And I thought we were going to meet, and he was going to explain to me how he was going to pay me back. And he literally was like, you guys want dessert? And I'm going, I had to take that emotion out of it right there. You know what I mean? I almost, there was a restaurant where there's a nice little fire in the restaurant, like those fireplaces in the restaurant, I almost took the fire poker and jabbed him in the leg with it. But I didn't do it. But I mentally did it, and it felt good mentally.
Mentally, not physically.
No, mentally. I didn't do it. I did not do it.
Okay, this next move, I know I actually heard from a thriver kind of saying, do I do this? Do I do that? This is kind of the move, and this is the move that they were experiencing. The dirty home court advantage move. Yeah,
that's a whole deal. There's a guy recently who did this to me. He tried to play the game. I get the game, and I'm not going to play the game because I know the game. I know the game. There's probably a move that I'm not aware of, but we talked to all the Thrive mentors. We've sat down and we've kind of come up with this compilation of the dirty moves. And I've been around, I've seen the moves. I've been self-employed for now, this is like year 19, so I've seen these moves. But this guy goes, Clay, if you can come out to Atlanta today, I know it's last minute, but I was going to meet you in Tulsa. If you can come out to Atlanta, this is the day of the meeting. If you can come out to Atlanta tonight, we can get the deal done. So I was like, well, and I kind of knew the guy, and I thought, and I had some, long story short, I could do the deal without costing me a lot of money. And I could also bring a lot of work with me, and I had a pretty free schedule that day, so I thought, I'll fly to Atlanta. So I fly out to Atlanta. He calls me, hey, sorry, I can't meet you. Something came up, and I can't meet you. But if you can come back out next week to Atlanta, I can get the deal done. And what he's doing is that whole home court advantage move, where he's trying to get you on the road and get you where you're tired, you're worn out, you're away from your family, and you're wanting just to sign to be done with it. And so I talked to some people who dealt with the guy, and I said, hey, has this ever happened to you before? And they go, yeah, that's like his whole deal. Like that's his move. And this is stuff that's like so diabolical, folks. I'm telling you, if you're watching this and you're like an innocent person and you're going through this and you're going, I would never think of those things. That's why I'm bringing them up. I'm trying to help you. Just because we don't know what ISIS is up to, it doesn't mean that ISIS or ISIL, our terrorist jihad friends, it doesn't mean that they're not doing it. Just because you don't know doesn't mean it's not happening, Just because you don't know about the crazy neighbor 4 houses down who's doing some weird mess, doesn't mean it's not happening. So I'm trying to help you know what's going on so you can get that radar up and boop, 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 and look around and be aware of what's going on. I don't want you to be your head in the sand, unaware of these moves.
Okay, so dirty moves.
Yep.
Dirty moves. What about the fill the entire room with suits move?
This move is a funny move, but this move's happened a lot. I went in for a negotiation, this is what, about 6, 7 years ago. And I go into the meeting and they said, hey, Mr. Clark, we'd like to meet you at noon or whatever. So I go in at noon. I go in to the meeting at noon. I show up. If you can imagine, this is the secretary's desk. This is where I am seated. They said, hey, would you like to sit here? I said, sure. You want a water? Cool. I'm sitting here. This is me. I'm sitting here. This is the secretary. She's sitting here. It's me, a secretary. Now remember, it's the secretary and it's me right there. Okay, so I'm here in the blue. Secretary is here in the green. That's me. Boom. Then they say, we would like to invite you back into this other room. So I sit down at a conference table. And I'm sitting at the conference table, and I'm not exaggerating, because remember, it's me in blue. And then they said, then we'll go ahead and grab Mr. Such and Such. And I sit down, and it's him, and it's him, and it's him, and I'm like, I'm going, is this like the whole Wu-Tang Clan here? I mean, what are we doing? Who are these people? Are we bringing in the whole, and they're just like, now this is such and such, head of marketing, this is such and such, head of this is such and such, such and such. Pretty soon you look up, and I'm in a room, and I'm probably outnumbered now 12-1. They all like talk at once with all sorts of counterpoints, and it's ridiculous. And I find in litigation that situation happens a lot. So the main thing I would encourage you guys to think about is make sure that when you go in for a negotiation situation, just be aware if they told you that you'd be meeting one-on-one with somebody, and now the room is filled with a ton of suits, that's a move they're doing.
That's a move.
That's a move.
So you gotta avoid that move and know that it's happening, so that you don't get pushed into a corner.
It's going to happen, I promise you. If you go into a room and you see that happening, that's a move.
Okay. What about this last dirty move here?
Yeah.
The dirty, big hat, no cattle, lose-win move.
What this is somebody who has no money or doesn't have the money needed to buy your business or to buy your house or to do the deal. They begin negotiating with you in such a way where you start to come off your point, come off your price, come off your deal, come off your wins over and over and over. And you end up coming down and down and down and down and down. And you end up thinking that you're working with a guy who really has the financial capacity to do the deal. But what you'll find quickly is that the person doesn't actually have the financial capacity to do the deal. So they have a big hat here, the big hat, but they have no cattle. Okay, it's a kind of a ranching concept here. But the point is, you're trying to negotiate with this person because you believe that underneath the hat they have a little bit of cash, they have a little bit of cattle. They are in fact a real rancher. They have a big hat, therefore they have a big belt buckle, therefore they have a ton of actual cows. But you discover quickly that they don't have any cows, and all they have is a big hat. And what they're trying to do is to get you to negotiate a deal that doesn't at any point make sense. So this move happens all the time, and then you end up finding you're negotiating with someone who doesn't have the capacity to work with you anyway, and it's just a bad deal. So that's kind of the whole no cash down move. If you're talking to somebody and you start hearing a lot of no cash down, hey, we're going to try to do this no cash down, zero cash down, that's something you got to be aware of.
A lot of dirty moves, and you got to recognize these dirty moves if you're going to navigate through these contract negotiations.
For a lot of the thrivers who might not know this, I know you're 6'8".
Yes.
When you're up that high, can you just kind of look down and see all the moves? Is it easier for you to see it?
It's not easier to see the moves if I don't know what they are. So it's helpful now that I know what they are.
The number of new customers that we've had is up 411% over last year. We are Jared and Jennifer Johnson. We own Platinum Pest and Lawn and are located in Owasso, Oklahoma. And we have been working with Thrive for business coaching for almost a year now.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to share some wins with you guys that we've had by working with Thrive. First of all, we're on the top page of Google now. Okay. I just want to let you know what type of accomplishment this is. Our competition, Orkin, Terminex, they're both $1.3 billion companies. They both have 2,000 to 3,000 pages of content attached to their website. So to basically go from virtually non-existent on Google to up on the top page is really saying something. But that's come by being diligent to the systems that Thrive has, by being consistent and diligent on doing podcasts and staying on top of those podcasts to really help with getting up on with their listing and ranking there with Google.
And also we've been trying to get Google reviews, asking our customers for reviews. And now we're the highest rated and most reviewed pest and lawn company in the Tulsa area. And that's really helped with our conversion rate. And the number of new customers that we've had is up 411% over last year.
Wait, say that again. How much are we up?
411%.
Okay, so 411% we're up with our new customers. Amazing.
Right. So not only do we have more customers calling in, we're able to close those deals at a much higher rate than we were before. Right now, our closing rate is about 85%, and that's largely due to, first of all, like our Google reviews that we've gotten people really see that our customers are happy, but also we have a script that we follow. And so when customers call in, they get all the information that they need. That script has been refined time and time again. It wasn't a one and done deal. It was a system that we followed with Thrive in the refining process, and that has obviously the 411% shows that system works.
Yeah, so here's a big one for you. So last week alone, our booking percentage was 91%. We actually booked more deals, more new customers last year than we did the first 5 months, or I'm sorry, we booked more deals last week than we did the first 5 months of last year from before we worked with Thrive. So again, we booked more deals last week than the first 5 months of last year. And it's incredible. But the reason why we have that success is by implementing the systems that Thrive has taught us and helped us out with. So.
Some of those systems that we've implemented are group interviews. That way we've really been able to come up with a really great team. We've created and implemented checklists. That way everything gets done and it gets done right. It creates accountability. We're able to make sure that everything gets done properly, both out in the field and also in our office. And also doing the podcast, like Jared had mentioned, that has really, really contributed to our success. But that, like I said, the diligence and consistency in doing those and that system has really, really been a big blessing in our lives. And also, it's really shown that we've gotten the success from following those systems.
Yeah. So before working with Thrive, we were basically stuck. Really no new growth with our business. And we were in a rut and we didn't know.
The last 3 years, our customer base had pretty much stayed the same. We weren't shrinking, but we weren't really growing either.
Yeah, and so we didn't really know where to go, what to do, how to get out of this rut that we're in. But Thrive helped us with that. They implemented those systems. That they taught us those systems. They taught us the knowledge that we needed in order to succeed. Now it's been a grind. Absolutely, it's been a grind this last year. But we're getting those fruits from that hard work and the diligent effort that we're able to put into it. So again, we were in a rut. Thrive helped us get out of that rut. And if you're thinking about working with Thrive, quit thinking about it and just do it. Do the action, and you'll get the results. It will take hard work and discipline, but that's what it's going to take in order to really succeed. So we just want to give a big shout out to Thrive, a big thank you out there to Thrive. We wouldn't be where we're at now without their help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Moore. I'm a pediatric dentist. Through our new digital marketing plan, we have seen a marked increase in the number of new patients that we're seeing every month, year over year. 1 month, for example, we went from 110 new patients the previous year to over 180 new patients in the same month. And overall, our average is running about 40 to 42% increase month over month, year over year. The group of people required to implement our new digital marketing plan is immense, starting with a business coach, videographers, photographers, web designers. Back when I graduated dental school in 1985, nobody advertised. The only marketing that was ethically allowed in everybody's eyes was mouth-to-mouth marketing. By choosing to use the services, you're choosing to use a proven turnkey marketing and coaching system that will grow your practice and get you the results that you're looking for. I went to the University of Oklahoma College of Dentistry, graduated in 1983, and then I did my pediatric dental residency at Baylor College of Dentistry from 1983 to 1985.
Hello, my name is Charles Kolaw with Kolaw Fitness. Today I want to tell you a little bit about Clay Clark and how I know Clay Clark. Clay Clark has been my business coach since 2017. He's helped us grow from 2 locations to now 6 locations. We're planning to do 7 locations in 7 years and then franchise. And Clay has done a great job of helping us navigate anything that has to do with like running the business, building the systems, the checklists, the workflows, the audits, how to navigate lease agreements, how to buy property, how to work with brokers and builders. This guy is just amazing. He's this kind of guy has worked in every single industry. He's written books with like Lee Cockrell, head of Disney, with the 40,000 cast members. He's friends with like Mike Lindell. He does Reawaken America tours where he does these tours all across the country where 10,000 or more people show up to some of these tours. On the day-to-day, he does anywhere from about 160 companies. He's at the top. He has a team of business coaches, videographers, and graphic designers and web developers, and they run 160 companies every single week. So think of this guy with a team of business coaches running 160 companies. So in the weekly, he's running 160 companies. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's doing Reawaken America tours. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's also doing business conferences where 200 people show up, and he teaches people a 13-step proven system that he's done and worked with billionaires, helping them grow their companies. I've seen guys from startups go from startup to being multimillionaires, teaching people how to get time freedom and financial freedom through the system. Critical thinking, document creation, putting it into organizing everything in their head to building into a franchisable, scalable business. Like one of his businesses has like 500 franchises. That's just one of the companies or brands that he works with. So amazing guy, Elon Musk kind of like smart guy. He kind of comes off sometimes as socially awkward, but he's so brilliant and he's taught me so much. When I say that, like Clay is like, he doesn't care what people think when you're talking to him. He cares about where you're going in your life and where he can get you to go. And that's what I like him most about him. He's like a good coach. A coach isn't just making you feel good all the time. A coach is actually helping you get to the best you. And Clay has been an amazing business coach. Through the course of that, we became friends. I was really most impressed with him is when I was shadowing him one time. We went into a business deal and listened to it. I got to shadow and listen to it. And when we walked out, I knew that he could make millions on the deal. And they were super excited about working with him. And he told me, he's like, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to turn it down because he knew it was going to harm the common good of people in the long run. And the guy's integrity just really wowed me. It brought tears to my eyes to see that this guy, his highest desire was to do what's right. And anyways, just an amazing man. So anyways, impacted me a lot. He's helped navigate anytime I've got nervous or worried about how to run the company or, navigating competition and an economy that's like, I remember we got closed down for 3 months. He helped us navigate on how to stay open, how to get back open, how to just survive through all the COVID shutdowns, lockdowns.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us. This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See, it's nice, right? So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood. This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
The Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.